Alrighty, it is a Wednesday. It is a pretty sunny day, kind of spring-like, what you'd expect for this time of year. We're going to look at some of the chances for thunder showers up around Lake Tahoe. We're going to look at the temperatures. We're going to look at the next chances for rain. We're going to look at a bunch of cool weather stuff. And then we're going to look at the birds at the end because they look like they're the eagles down in Big Bear because they kind of look like they're getting ready to. They're not, but they look. I've never really watched an eagle grow up. This is my first endeavor into that. So, and I was going to tear out this concrete in the front of my house myself, and then I realized I couldn't do it. So I've got a couple guys out here jackhammering. So you're going to hear that too. So every time you hear the jackhammer, just know that's money. It's costing me. I know. I had big plans to do it. I've done it, but I just realized this was too big of an effort. Okay, so I hope you're having a nice day. Let's get to it. This is the visible satellite image, and let's see what we first noticed. There's Mount Lassen. Oops, I want to do this guy. I like to pick out features. There you go. Okay, Mount Lassen, Mount Shasta, this valley fog. Look at that kind of valley fog. That is valley fog down around Bakersfield. See how it's kind of contouring the Tehachapis in the southern Sierra Nevada. Like in here, I'll just kind of go this way. I love that. And even grabs the backside of the coastal. So that's coastal fog. Oh, valley fog, kind of merging with some coastal fog. And then my friends in Southern California, you guys are in it. You got a fairly deep inversion down there. So the fog is pushing pretty far inland. Up north, the inversion's kind of almost gone away, or has gone away for the most part. And we're seeing higher clouds and lower clouds that were once fog that are now clouds because they're high enough. And then you see these high cirrus clouds pushing in. And you see a little bit this speckled stuff. That's cooler air. So that's why temperatures, one of the reasons temperatures have cooled. It will cool a little bit today. Temperatures right now, well, today Redding goes 77. Santa Rosa goes 65. San Francisco goes 62. Sacramento 72. And San Jose 69. And Redding 77. I said that, didn't I? Yeah. So it's going to be a very pleasant spring day. But again, you look at you look at this map. This is a go-to map for. Oh, you can also pick out the Cascades up here, right? Awesome. I'm looking at snow up there. It's clearer up north than it is down south. But this map is that's like my go-to. Like if you don't have a window, I used to have a view when I lived in Marin, and I could see everything. And I would go, I'm going to go ride there to there. I'm going to go hike there to there. I'm going to take the dog there to there. I'm going to take Pam there. You just kind of get this. And when I look at this, I go, oh, yeah, maybe I'll just hunker on up and go up to McLeod, right? Go up there fishing for the day. Or maybe, I don't know if I like that valley fog. So I'm going to, right? So you kind of plot. You kind of plot where you're going. Okay, this is going to be a little different. This is the profiler, but it shows something a little different. The time goes this way, right? So this is yesterday, and this is today. And so what you see is cooler air being brought, right? Those colors represent cooler, that being brought in aloft up over around 2,000 feet. The cooler air is coming in. That's why there's a chance for a thunder shower, especially around Lake Tahoe. And that's because anytime you get warmer air under cooler air, the warmer air can rise. It's lighter, so it can rise into it and then really develop. The problem we're having now is we've got a little bit cooler air aloft at the surface. This is Fort Ord. And so the ability for the parcel of air to rise convectively is inhibited by this cooler air at the surface. If you can get something to bump you up beyond that, then yeah, you could go up. So we'll look at that. I think I got a couple ways we can look at that. We go to the satellite map and you can see the loop and you can see the low, right? Spinning. That's us. So it mimics the visible map a little, right? Let's see if I can go. Where's the visible map? Right here. See there? You see those? That's right. That's visible. And then this is infrared. So you can see, right? You see the clouds. And the whiter tops correspond to the bluer tops here. Infrared just measures temperature. And so the darker areas are lower because we're assuming now that as you go up in the atmosphere, it gets colder. So these blues are coded dark blue the higher up you are, indicating more vertical development in that cloud deck. Weather's so awesome, isn't it? I know. Okay. You know, right? These are the forecast highs for today. And this is kind of the western United States. We've got, like I say, 70 up in Garberville. You see temperatures really fall off down in towards Monterey. 89 out in the desert. You just kind of like that map, right? 75 in Chico. I know it's not spot on, but you look at it, you go, okay, there's the heat, there's the cool. You can find the fog real easy, just the green areas or the cooler ocean. And you look out towards Nevada, you got mid 70s. So it looks like classic spring weather to me. We can take a peek at this. I don't know if that, I like the size of that. And actually, I didn't want to do that. Let's zoom out. Okay, you're going to have to see how the sausage is made now. Hang on, sorry. I get all janky with my things. Okay, so this is what's happening. And what do I see? I see, that's pretty cool, right? We got 39 degrees in the upper lakes, 48, and then down towards Chicago, you're just in the upper 50s, low 60s. Cool in Pennsylvania and New York. Look at that. Wow, what's going on there? And then temperatures in the south, well, pretty warm, parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma, right? So a warm spell here, cooler spell here. We could almost do. Want to try it? Let's do it. I didn't check the jet stream this morning, but okay, so what are you thinking? So it's cooler here, warmer here. So what if we draw the trough in here? What if we draw, there's a little trough down here, right? Well, I wonder if, I think that's the jet stream right there, right? Sure. Does that make sense? Right? So, and why am I doing that? Because the jet stream is the division between warm and cold air. And that's, I think, is pretty much spot on for the jet stream today. I didn't pull up a U.S. map of the satellite imagery, but I'm gonna go with that. So you see what I'm talking about, right? So relatively cooler air. I go, ooh, it's really warm here. There's probably a ridge there, and it's cool here. There's a trough there, and that, my friends, is the jet stream up around 18,000 feet. It divides the warm air from the cold air. I can never stress this enough. As the days get longer, the jet stream, just in general, recedes north. And as it recedes north, that's your storm path. And right, that's where that tracks and directs and motivates weather. So it goes further north. So it doesn't rain at our latitude. It doesn't rain even in a lot less activity in the mid United States or even North United States. And then as we drop, the days get shorter and we get back into winter, the cooler air encroaches on the warmer air and the jet stream starts to line itself back up. And right now it's having an identity crisis because it's spring, and so it's going, well, I'm warm. No, I'm cold. No, I'm warm. I oversimplified that, but I like that explanation a lot. Jet stream, and the whole weather world is driven by hot and cold. Well, the Earth's rotation too, but hot and cold. That's what I just described. At the surface, warm air, cold air, and aloft, warm air, cold air, and the division between the two creates this flow of wind. Well, the wind doesn't really happen until the jet stream or until the Earth spins, and something called Coriolis effect throws everything to the right in the northern hemisphere, so the jet stream goes this way. And super simple, but it has to be super simple or you won't remember it, right? Okay, this is 38 years of working in television. I used to try, when I started, I used to really get granular, which I loved, and it works for a lot of you. But for a lot of other people, you're like, dude, I'm drinking my coffee. You're messing with my head. Just give me the deets. And that's what TV is. This is a little bit of both. Like I know my buddy Finans, he's doing deep dive granular, which is awesome. And I kind of do that, but then I also know in my world, what I'm going for here is to just go, hey, this is what it really means. And so there's room for everybody. And in television, like Mark had the same issue I had, where it was like, yeah, it's hard to get granular because you're working on 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, so here is the red flag warnings, but just it seems like a plethora of those. And then you see the flooding in the Ohio Valley or Mississippi Valley still. Isn't that crazy? A week and a half, 2 weeks ago. See some cold air. We did see the cold air here. This is frost advisories, freeze warnings, and things like that. So pretty basic, pretty quiet around the country. This is tomorrow. This is going to be your, well, interesting. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you can kind of see that. Well, there's the trough drawn in the jet stream, and there's the ridge. And you go, why is it raining here? Well, probably because that's the right front quadrant of the trough. Anyway, I was just messing around with the jet stream, but these are the forecast precipitation events for tomorrow, and most of it's in the Midwest or in the central part of the country, and then up around Idaho, Montana, a little bit in here. And that is the low pressure center. So not a lot going on. I think if I'm flying tomorrow, I'm golden. Because, right, Colorado, airport, you look good. Dallas looks good. Atlanta looks good. New York looks good. LA looks good. So that's what when I fly, I'm not a huge flyer, but when I do fly, I always check that because I like to know what the hubs are doing. And if the hubs are clear, generally you're fine. Okay, so this is a new map we haven't looked at. This is HRRR rapid update. I think the resolution on it's like 2 miles, which is about as small a grid as you can get. The GFS, which we usually look at. When I say grid, I mean the forecast area that it's having to forecast. It can only get so granular, right? Speaking of that. So this is the most granular model, down to about 2 miles. And the GFS, which we look at most often, which we're not going to look at today. Well, we will look at it in some iteration. But that is 16 miles. Yeah, it's 16 miles, I think. Yeah, it's 16 miles. I got to check. Is it kilometers or miles? Dang, I think it's miles. But you can see the difference. So this is more granular. And then this is hour by hour. And HRRR updates every hour, right? The GFS updates 4 times a day. So you're getting more. But anyway, so we're going here. It's in the Ecology page links. We're going here because we want to see where the potential for thunderstorms are. And you can kind of see, right, you just look for the areas of, so right there in those blues, see how it kind of builds up in the afternoon. That's the daytime heating. Pretty good chance for thunderstorms. It's a tricky thunderstorm forecast, though, because of that cooler air at the surface. So we will see, but you can kind of see. So this is, what time are we here? I got to get you. Where's my time on this bad boy? Oh, that's why I didn't want to do this. Hang on. That's what I need to do. Sorry, I wanted to get close up for you. This is Wednesday afternoon, this afternoon. So that looks like our best chance. And that's in that area, and even up around the, up north of St. Helena, up around Snow Mountain, Cobb Mountain, looks like there's a chance for a thunder shower up there as well. So not huge available potential energy, but, sorry about the mic, but certainly something to keep an eye on. So that's kind of the weather feature today. It's kind of weather light today, which I kind of like. This is the GFS, which global forecast model, 4 times a day it updates. The grid size is about 16 miles. It's big, it's beefy, it covers the entire globe. That's why it's called a global forecast. And we're looking at the jet stream. We're at 500 millibars in vorticity. So these areas, so it's a river of air in the upper atmosphere. That's the jet stream we just drew in. And this is where we are over here. And we're just looking for stuff, right? So you see our low right there, right? See that? So I toggle it back and forth just so you can see it. So that goes through. This is on Thursday night. Here comes Friday morning. Saturday morning, or pardon me, Saturday afternoon. That's interesting. So Saturday looks good. Sunday looks cooler. Still nothing monumental occurring, right? You know what we're looking for. And then right here, that's interesting. But see, you know what I notice here? I'm toggling now. This is back through April 22nd. But see all that activity just to the north, in the north part of the state, right? Like that there, that's April 24th. That's all, and that looks pretty decent. That's April 25th. So somewhere around that 21st, 25th looks pretty juicy. And you see that low, that bullseye. So we'll see. Again, it's fantasy land. There's a ridge. See the ridge pop up? Boom, 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 boom. And then that big system offshore, which, by the way, will generate surf. Look at that thing. That's beefy. That's going to generate some good swell. And then we're done. That is on May 1st. So just a kind of a quick glance at that. Okay, so we did a bunch of weather. Now we're going to look at cool pictures. Up on the north coast, where you expect it to be foggy and icky, this is looking towards Crescent City. Crescent City today, you go 60 degrees. Um, and yeah, the fog, kind of low clouds, kind of stuck down on the coast. But you're up high here. I don't know the elevation of this spot. I wonder if it says on here. It probably does. High elevation, 2,293. So about 1,000 feet above the inversion, if there is an inversion. Looks like there is a little bit of one. And then this is New Beaver, looking towards, kind of towards Bernie, towards the west, and a little bit of a controlled burn out there. And I just love this picture. The high in New Beaver today is going to be 70, Northern California. I like this picture because I like it. This part of California is unique, right? Because most of us live on the other side of this hill, on the other side of the Cascade Range and the Sierra Nevada. So when you get into this high desert on the east side of the mountains, it's just a whole different vibe, man. Here, and I'll show you where we are too. So I'll back it down. See New Beaver right there, right there. And so we're there, and we're looking towards MacArthur, Fall River Mills, right there. And again, these are all the live cameras that you too can access. And you too should access because they're awesome. I've been playing around with them all morning. I did sort of an Eastern Sierra thing today, just because we did one yesterday, and I was like, oh, I love the way that looks. So look at that. Oh my God, Basin Range. Oh my God, that's beautiful. I think we're in Bishop now. We're looking kind of Bishop's a little further to the north, to the right of this picture, but that's the Owens Valley. And one day we'll talk about the read Cadillac Desert if you can. And then we'll talk because I've read it. I read it 2 times, listened to it 3 times. I listen to it at least every 3 years, just because it's so helpful for just kind of wrapping your head around water rights and what's happening in the state and what happened here, because this is a pivotal. Owens Valley is. There's a couple other things that happened as well, but Owens Valley, I think, is a pivotal water grab in the state of California and maybe in the country ever. And it's created. It's still. There's still some issues down there, and not animosities, I think, because think about that valley. How fertile is that valley, right? It's got east side runoff, right? So it's coming from the east side. It gets hot, gets dry. It's a river or flood plain, so you've got nothing but alluvial soil ready to be farmed. Oh my God, alluvial fans, do you know what those are? This is my geology. I'm geography, I guess it's geography. But these are fans. See how the mountain drains out, and then you get these kind of flares. That's what they look like, a fan in reverse, right? See that? So those are alluvial fans, and it's just the sediments coming off, eroding off the mountains over thousands and thousands of years, and then settling down in the finer particulates, settling down lower and creating awesome soil. That's why if you drive in from, let's say you're driving down to Santa Barbara, down 101, and you look to the right, down out by Gavilan, you look to the right, on the backside of the Santa Lucias, and you see farming going on up those hill escarpments into this V. That's an alluvial fan. But anyway, this valley was incredibly fought over. Bishop today goes 62. I think I got a picture of Owens Lake in here, which just barely shows. I was having so much fun today looking at, I think Owens Lake is here. Let's see. Maybe not. Dang. I think it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Okay, that's a stick. Where'd it go? There it is. It's not a great picture. But there's 2 things I wanted to see. Number 1, you're looking towards the west. Number 2, that is the Owens Lake. The lighting's weird because of the sun angle. And then the other thing I'm picking out, remember those thunderstorms we talked about? That's on the west slope of the southeastern Sierra Nevada, and you're starting to see some development. So we got that going for us. And then I did pick this one up. This is down at Cartago. And you know what's funny? I've driven through. That's on 395, and you all have done this before. This drive, I'm sure, it's one of the best drives on the planet, I think. But do you see the thundercloud this will be a thundercloud. And that was what we were looking at when we were looking at that available potential energy for today's thunderstorms. So the sun's hitting the ground, the air warms up, it starts to rise. Now it's into the cool air, right? And it can't help but keep rising. And we know aloft, remember we looked at the sounding, the acoustic sounding, that air is really cold. So as the day heats up and as this air rises and also bounces off the White Mountains here, it's going to rise and you're going to see temperatures or a potential for thunderstorms. So I think we will see thunderstorms there. But a beautiful shot, and yeah, California is so awesome, right? We're just on the eastern side of the hill. Now we come back, we'll go into the mountains. We're at Palisades, Tahoe. Oh, little kid. Looks like a warm day. I think they're getting into the low 60s up there, mid 60s, like Tahoe. I know. Palisades, maybe. I mean, today they're going to be 63, 64 degrees at the top. That's warm, man. Let's see what else is going on. And you see the snow starting to change color, right? You see a little bit of brown up there. This is live Palisades. That's the tram up here, right? I actually know the guy who built the tram, Hans Burkhardt. One of the guys, I think he designed it with Cushing and those guys back in the day. But he's kind of Palisades royalty as well. He just passed. He wrote a book, though. Hans wrote a book. I can't remember the name. I should remember the name of it. But he look for Hans Burkhardt. It's an awesome book about the history of Palisades and kind of goes back to the Olympics and Cushing and all that. Let's see what else we got. Let's do one more. Let's do this one. Sorry. Again, I shouldn't do this, but if you're still here, you're tolerant, to say the least. And sometimes I look at these and I go, I think they're overdressed, man. Like, it's warm. It's warm. Oh, and then I wanted to show you, I don't know if I can. Maybe they'll go to it. But there's a big pile in the parking lot. Maybe we'll go to it. And it's a pile to the left of this. It looks like a big pile of dirt. It's a pile of snow that's like 40 feet high, maybe 50, at least 40 feet high, that they take it out of the parking lot and then they pile it up so they can get it out of the way. And of course it takes, once it piles up, it becomes kind of almost glacierish in its own way. And here we go, we're going to see it. Yeah, buddy. No, we're not going to see it. Damn right. Okay, but anyway, if you see that pile, you know what I'm talking about. This is Ocean Beach. I'm running out of time. Yeah. This Ocean Beach, kind of a nice day surf-wise. Not a great surf day, but certainly clean conditions. Not a lot of wind, and that's because the inversion's sort of busted up too. You see actually kind of a little bit of an offshore wind there. Swell stays a little bit big all day, 6 to 8. Drops down tomorrow, 4 to 5. Tide's coming up a little bit, but it's all good. There's nothing really going on in terms of big swell right now. This is Diamond Head, Hawaii. Isn't that beautiful? And that's a fun place to surf. I actually, sometimes after in the North Shore, sometimes we'll come back to the South Shore to fly out. And if we spend the night in the South Shore, I love surfing like Kaiser's or here. Just, it's so old school surfing, right? It's just got so much tradition. Now we're international today, my friend. This is Sayulita, Mexico. The swell is, let's see if I can get the swell up. Okay, that's not happening. And we're jammed up, which is probably good. The only thing I'm bummed about is I want to see the eagles. And I was going to show you Sayulita in Punta Mango in Nicaragua. This is Sayulita. Swell there is about 2 to 3, 1 to 2. Swell stays small. This is not their time of year for big surf. As we go into the next couple of days, we are going to see temperatures begin to kind of warm up on the weekend and then cool down on Sunday. So you got the whole picture. I'm actually just stalling right now because I want to do the birds, but every once in a while I get a deal like this. Okay, I'm going to move on to something else. Thanks for hanging in. I was thinking about it today. Why do I do this? Because I don't care about money. I do care about money. I just don't care about making money. I do this because it's really awesome and fun, and I like sharing our love of the state And we talked a little bit about the Indians yesterday, Native Americans, the Spanish. The whole history of this place is awesome. So when you live here, you get it. That's why it costs so much. I mean, it just does. And that's we put up with earthquakes and fires and stuff. Okay. All right. Well, listen, the birds are big. All right. Listen, it's awesome. I'll see you guys back here. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at, okay. Okay. If you're still here, no, I was going to say I'll send you some money, but I'm not going to because I can't. Because what if there's like 10 of you there? That's like $10. Okay. So the babies are tired. Look at that. Oh yeah. I'm going to back it up a little. That's mom. Let's see what's going on. Back up. Okay. Here we go. They're moving around. Look at that. Oh my God. They're so big. Literally my favorite thing. That's mom for sure. Head's a little flat. And look how business she is, man. She is all business. She has no time she suffers no fool. You see the meat around and they're eating good. The boys are eating good. That's my alarm. It tells me I'm running out of time because this camera. But anyway, if you're still here, say you're still here. That'd be awesome. Also, I would love it if you could in comments. I know these are things I'm supposed to do to get a bigger YouTube channel. If you could comment in comments on anything I just showed you, or even better would be where you're from. I would dig that. And then that puts me in a different algorithm. I know. But also people are like, dude, you got to grow that channel. And I'm like, well, I'm having really fun just watching the birds. But I would like to grow it. I don't know why. I don't care about money. I think I'm competitive. Okay. So, oh my God. Right? Oh my God. Okay. You guys have an awesome day. It is Wednesday. Tomorrow looks pretty nice. Maybe a degree cooler. And then on the weekend, it warms up a little bit. Then it cools down a little bit. And you live in a beautiful place. And if you don't live here, thanks for watching and appreciating this beautiful place.